I'm Eli, the electronics guy, and today we are going to talk about TestOut. So, what is TestOut? TestOut is a online course material curriculum certification preparation system. So, some of you may or may not know, my day job is actually I teach high school cybersecurity students. And this is actually one of the products that I use in my classroom. So I thought this might be useful for teachers as well as IT professionals or security professionals that are interested in knowing more about it. So a couple things to get out of the way in efforts of full disclosure. I've actually reached out to TestOut. They have been kind enough to provide me with a demo account, so I can go ahead and do that. But they're not paying me for this. And then also I'm using that personal account, so I'm not using anything from my day job stuff. So with that, let's actually dive into it. So let me get my screen switched over here for you. So this is what their website looks like. And if I come up here toward the top, you can go to their course catalogs. Their website's just testout.com. And if I scroll down here, you can see they've got a bunch of different courses as I go down. We can stop and talk about them. So Office Pro, I actually use this in my classroom. It's focused towards the Microsoft certifications. So the Microsoft like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, that kind of stuff. Office 2019. There is some Excel experts. So if you want to get a deep dive into Excel, they do have access to the Excel Expert course material. IT Fundamentals, that's a CompTIA certification. One of the ones I use in my classroom is actually PC Pro. So we use this. I teach towards the CompTIA A+ certification. Really good certification. It's a good entry-level IT certification. So if you're an IT or wanting to get into IT, I should say, this is actually a really good certification to take a look at, is the CompTIA A+, and the PC Pro actually will help you get that certification. So once we get logged in, I'll actually kind of open those up and show you around what TestOut does offer, but I kind of want to go through their course catalog here. So they have their Network Pro, which again, that aligns to another CompTIA certification. That one aligns to the Net Plus. Linux Pro, which aligns to the CompTIA Linux Plus. Security Pro, so this is one that I teach to my high school seniors. That aligns to that CompTIA Security Plus certification. Cyber Defense Pro, that's the CompTIA CYSA Plus. And then the Ethical Hacker, this is the one my students love. I do teach to this one as well. This correlates to the EC Council's Certified Ethical Hacker course. Sadly, my students aren't able to sit for that because of they need at least 2 years of work experience for that. But we do still go through this course material. They've got a couple others. I don't really get into too much of these other ones. Other than the server identity is kind of handy. I do, my students go through Cyber Patriot, and that we've found has kind of had some help there. So yeah, so that's their course catalog. Let's get logged in here, and we can kind of take a look at everything, and I can show you around a little bit more. So big shout out to Travis. So thank you, Travis, for getting me all set up here with this. So let's jump over to the products, and we can kind of look through. So there's the Ethical Hacker, the Cyber Defense. So let's scroll down here. Let's jump into that PC Pro, because I kind of talked about that one. I think this is a really good for IT professionals as well. Some of you may be interested in this. A really good entry-level certification if you're really wanting to get into IT. And then for teachers on that side of it, this is a really good course for students to get them introduced into IT. The nice thing I like about the CompTIA certification, the A+ in particular, is it's really good fundamentals. It's a great certification that can get you started, and you can really take that and go anywhere with it. It's if you're wanting to get into IT, even programming, cybersecurity, networking, really having this is only going to benefit you, or benefit your student, I should say. So this is what the courses look like. This is kind of how they're laid out. They've got the course introduction, and then you get like just a bunch of kind of what's going to be coming up in this, objectives, that kind of stuff. And then I'm not going to play it in here, but they do have these really nice videos. They've got some demo videos on their website. I suggest going and taking a look at those. The cool thing then after that video, they go through like a demo of how to use things. And then this by far, this is what I really want to jump in and show you here. TestOut simulations are by far above everything else. So if I start the lab here, it takes a couple seconds for it to load up, but that's normal. So this is what a simulation looks like. So super cool. I love this for students because if they mess something up, just right up here in the top right hand corner, they can click this start over button, and in the matter of seconds, they're restart and they can go back through things. So in this one, they want us to grab this monitor. We've got to drag and drop it to our desk here, and then we've got to flip it around, and then we've actually got to go through and we've got to plug in our power cable, and we've got to make sure we get the right one. So if I grab the wrong cable, it's not going to let me. It's going to say that can't connect. I got to make sure I get the right type of cable into there. And then I've also got to make sure I actually plug it into the power strip. So super cool. And then obviously I can go through again HDMI, can get my HDMI connection. Got to go to the back of my computer to plug that into the other end. But it's really neat because students can actually dive into here. So like I can open up the motherboard, can come in here, take a look at things. Later lessons, they actually have to come in here to this floor plan. And like if I want to come over here in the networking closet, I don't know why. This just is always super fun to me. You can actually come into here and you might have to move this lobby Cat5 cable. Maybe it needs to go over to this port. So obviously I just broke something in this simulation, but it's not a big deal because I can just come up here, I can hit start over, and in the matter of a few seconds, it's actually going to start the lab over for me. So for me as an instructor, this is one of those tools that I just absolutely love. Before we get students on like hands-on actual hardware, or we have a pandemic like we're in right now, we can have them jump on here. They can do stuff from home, even do remote work. Doesn't really fully replace hands-on, but it is a nice enrichment, and also it helps them get a good understanding of how things work before they start touching actual hardware and before they can actually mess equipment up. So super cool. I'm going to actually jump out here. The other cool thing about it is, actually, let me put that monitor back real quick, and we'll go ahead and flip it back around. Let me grab my cables. Just super quick. We'll get this plugged in. Grab the other end of my cable, plug it into the computer. Plug our power in. And then I didn't turn my computer on, so I don't know if it's going to score me right or not. Yep. So I didn't turn it on. But this is what's cool for students. They get instant feedback of what they missed, how they did. They can see, okay, I got my monitor in, I got my cables in the right spot, but oh man, I forgot to turn it on. The power strip might have been off, or I just need to hit the power buttons on the front of the computer. So super cool, and it gives them detailed instructions of how to go through those things. So then they can instantly come in. They can see their score again if they forget what they scored on it. Yeah, super cool. Then back into another video, or another demo, another lab, and then some basic hardware stuff. So if I jump back up here, another thing I really like from an instructor standpoint is we've got these simulations that we looked at. But there's also these like 15, some of them are 10 questions. They're these like check your understanding questions. And then as an instructor, I get the analytics back on this. I can get it based on an individual student, or I can get it based on an entire class. So it really helps me when I go through to do lesson planning, when I'm preparing for the class. I can see, maybe there was something that we covered yesterday that maybe not everybody got. I need to circle back to that and reiterate and kind of go back through something. So from an instructor standpoint, these are really invaluable. So it has them go through, again, just like that other page. they select it. I don't know if that's going to be right or wrong. Nope, I was wrong. I needed to click this one. But it gives them a brief description of why that was the wrong answer. And then they can go on to the next question. And then here, this is just a drag and drop. I'm just dragging anything in. Check my answers. Oh, hey, I got lucky. I actually got one right. Oh, whoa, I got 2 right. Cool. That was pure luck. So, but anyways, yeah, so I can close out of that. Yeah, that's fine. Score it. It's going to give me that instant feedback. I can see that one. I got partial credit for it, and I can see what I got. Then I can look at the objectives. So here's the objectives for this course. And I can see, how well I did on those and what areas. And again, from an instructor standpoint, you get all this analytics on the back end. So you can go back in and see, oh, well, I might need to hit peripherals again or talk about cables. So yeah, so that is PC Pro. So there's a whole bunch. I like to think about normally like the first 8 chapters kind of align. It's not exact, but it kind of aligns to your the 1001, the first half of that A+, and then this latter part kind of aligns that second half of that A+, that 1002. Not exact, but pretty close to how that kind of lays out. Some other cool things they've got in here that I really like is they've got these practice. So for when you're wanting to go take your 1001 for your A+ certification, you can come in here and you can actually take, it's a 90 question, hour and a half long practice certification, and it'll pull a random pool of questions for you. And you can actually go through and look at those and study for your tests and for your certifications. And then again, they've got the 1002 stuff. And then you can look at like the different domains and everything. So super cool. All their courses are pretty well laid out, just kind of very similar. So let's dive into another one. Let's actually jump to the other one I teach to is the Security Pro. So let's pull up Security Pro. So again, kind of the same layout in Security Pro. I'm going to jump up here. Let's go to Identity. So again, there's those videos, those fact sheets. So this is kind of like the textbook is what I kind of like to call it. And you can look through and read that stuff. And then going back to, again, those demos, those practice quizzes. So here's one that's only 10 questions. But again, from a teacher standpoint, from a student standpoint really too, it really kind of helps them know where they need to go back and kind of self-study and look at maybe taking better notes or something. And then again, those simulations. So this one, they're actually creating OUs. So they're creating organizational units in an Active Directory server. So if I jump into this one will actually drop me into server box. So this is all simulated in the cloud. So in here, I'm running through Hyper-V Manager, and I actually have to get into my domain controller. So a cool thing about this is students are getting hands-on experience with virtual machines, with simulations, with Active Directory, and all that kind of stuff. So from a teacher standpoint, from a classroom standpoint, I always talk about like our cybersecurity lab. It's kind of hard for people to see what we do because we are a career center, but when we talk about cybersecurity, all of our stuff is on the computer. So this is just really fun for students to go through and to get actual hands-on with real software. So I'm going to jump out of this lab. I'm going to score this one. And then the last one I'm going to show you actually is we're going to jump over to the Ethical Hacker because that's one of my favorites. And I think it's also one of the students' favorites too. So here's this Ethical Hacker Pro. So if I jump into it, let's come down to, let's go to system hacking. Everybody seems to like system hacking for some reason. So here you go. Cracking passwords with John the Ripper. So I'm actually going to pull this up. So this one with Ethical Hacker, it's actually going to drop you into a Linux box. So Those other ones I showed you were simulating Windows, but here you are, you're in Kali Linux. We can go ahead and pop open a terminal, and then it's going to work just like we have everything else. So if we want to list out stuff there, we can look there. We have our full suite. Some stuff's not going to be simulated, so like I tried to pull open that applications because it's outside of the scope of this simulation. I don't need to get into there to complete the simulation. So there is some stuff. It is a little bit guided for students, so it keeps them out of things they shouldn't be into, but then it does let them explore a little bit. You've got an exhibit, so this kind of gives you like a network layout. So if you get into the more technical ones, it'll have different like IP addresses, how stuff's wired, if you're needing to get to access to different things. This one, since it's a more advanced simulation, there'll probably be a different floor plan. So there's that Kali Linux box. There's the different hardware. So here's the IT laptop. That's that Kali box. And then I can jump into an IT admin, which is just a Windows system. Same thing like I showed you before. There's that hardware closet, again with that similar network rack. And then down into here, another one. And then this one, since it is cracking passwords on that Kali Linux box, they actually have to come in here and they've got to answer a couple questions. So they have to come in and actually answer those, and that's how they score whether what they've done. So obviously I got those wrong because I didn't actually do it. So super cool. It gives them access to some real world tools. The other lab I like in this one, let's see if it's... Yeah. So this one from a teaching standpoint, so I'm very fortunate in my classroom. I have my own separate network. So we have our production network, and then we have an off-production network. So our off-production network is air-gapped, completely isolated from the school's network. So I'm very lucky in that manner. But if you didn't have that, you want to give students access to, maybe running an nmap on a system and scanning for network ports, that can be a little bit sketchy if you're on like the school's actual network. That would throw up some red flags. Probably wouldn't be a good idea. But what's cool about that is you can come in here into TestOut, and students can actually run through, running Wireshark on a system. That's the other cool thing about this. There's labs for Wireshark. This one, they're running an nmap, so they're checking out the network, looking at different ports on different networks. And then again, that instant, oops, I hit start over, but they've got that instant start over if they mess something up. Or if I score it, I have that instant feedback on how well I did. So maybe it was this one and this one. See if I get lucky. Nope, didn't get lucky. So yeah, so that's just a couple of the courses. I don't really want to dive too much more into it. But the other thing cool about TestOut is at the end of the year with my class, what I do is, and TestOut offers, is they have their pro certifications. So they're 100% simulation based, and you actually go through and so from an employer standpoint, my students get these certifications, and it really shows their skills. My past, I was a hiring manager for a company. We did courtroom audio video stuff. We were starting to pay people to go get their A+ certification. Somebody come into straight out of high school, they've got an A+ certification, they got a TestOut PC Pro certification, going into like just entry-level security roles, coming in with a Security Plus and a Security Pro certification. Like these students are coming out of high school setting themselves up to be a lot more advanced than just other people coming in off the street. So super cool opportunities. I definitely recommend taking a look at TestOut. It's a really good course material, really good curriculum. From my standpoint, I've really enjoyed it. I'm actually going to be taking my PC Pro and my Security Pro here probably this year or next year, and actually try to get my certification through TestOut as well. I've got my CompTIA Security Plus, and my A plus and my Net plus. But I actually want to go through and get my TestOut certs, so I might as well. So, but anyways, hopefully you enjoyed that. This might have been a little bit of a longer video, but it's well worth it. Definitely go take a look at it. If there's anything in particular that you'd like to see, definitely comment below. Let me know, and I would be more than willing to dive into some more stuff, maybe some teacher stuff. If you guys want to see some of those back analytics, I'll have to see if my demo account has access to the teacher role, and maybe get some bogus student data in there, and we can kind of look at that. But yeah, if there's anything you really want to see, definitely comment, subscribe, share. That really helps. So I appreciate it. I'm Eli, the electronics guy. Have a good day.